First technical session will be delivered by Mr. D.P. Sreenivas, the co-founder of Duranc. He's going to talk about next wave in surveillance, AI, real-time analytics, and the future of security operation. As you all know, Sreenivas is the co-founder and chief revenue officer for Duranc Services, based out of Hyderabad. The company provides cloud-based security surveillance and or video surveillance solutions. With over 30 years of global experience, he brings deep understanding of international market and consumer needs. His vision led to the creation of enterprise-grade surveillance as a service, VSaaS we call, offering powered by computer vision, machine learning, and neural networks. A commerce graduate with an MBA, Mr. Sreenivas is driven by his passion and for innovations and solving real-world problems through advanced technology. He was an NRI, he's worked a lot of years in US, now he's come back and share his knowledge to the country. He is very passionate and patriotic person. I welcome Mr. Sreenivas to the stage.
Thank you. Thanks to all the dignitaries, and I would like to express my gratitude to the organizers, Dominic in special, for bringing this event to my city, Hyderabad. We've always been passionate about technology in Hyderabad. It's always our founding thing in this city. For develop, innovate, and then propagate technology across all levels of requirements. For the last 25, 30 years, Hyderabad has been the forerunner of many innovations. Like Venu sir has said, we have done a lot of innovations in T-Hub and other innovation centers here. I'd like to take this moment to thank Gary for gracing us in this event, and also for all your insights that always gives us a lot of knowledge. You impart us. Every conversation is a learning conversation with you. So, and I would like to thank Sri Sanjay Kumar Garu, IAS, encouraging and also participating in this, even though he was tied up with some of the government initiatives. He was gracious enough to come and give us the address. Sir, I'd like to thank Ven Prasad Garu for contributing and then coming to our event, sir. Thank you so much, and your vision and expanding the network of the fiber across the state will help us, in doing technology expansion all the way up to the rural segment. Thank you very much. And thank you all the dignitaries and the wonderful gathering that is there today. So at the outset, I would like to, see what the entire AI industry is transforming. It's not just as a directive, or it's not just a progression. It's complete revolution that is happening right now in all segments and all areas, not just in the security industry. Security is one of the aspects that is deriving advantage out of the AI. So I would like to touch upon few of the things that are, basically connected to the surveillance industry and also surveillance professionals. We have progressed from regular monitoring of the cameras to integration with electronic security and physical security as a fusion. So convergence of this physical infrastructure with guards and all the CCTV infrastructure has been particularly a vision for many years, but it is happening for the last 4 or 5 years. So that's moving forward is the proactive surveillance with AI. Like what we have mentioned, Duranc has always been forerunner. For the last 14, 15 years, we have been working on the AI, integrating cameras, integrating IoT devices, and all across many different technologies that are required for the surveillance. We have been connecting those into one single, platform. It's the entire industry was isolated in terms of silo installations. You have access controls, you have CCTV cameras, you have VMSs. All these are individually been monitored, individually been deployed. All these silos has to be integrated into one single system. That's the vision of us. So, I mean, Duranc is basically, the name itself is Duranc, your remote eye. So you need to get every information that is there from these disparate systems into one single platform is our vision. So that's the proactive surveillance is the next step, that is the trend that is going on. But going forward from that to the cloud-based and security operations moving towards the cloud is one of the major development after the networks established, the internet connectivity and the fiber networks are available. That is actually brought in much more advantages to build in many of these networks into one single system. Like Venu sir said, we have 1 lakh cameras in this city. Are these cameras are all active? All these cameras are healthy? So all these things have to be monitored on a regular basis. So the cloud-based remote monitoring will help in terms of bringing all these networks into one place. Smart incident management is the fourth one which we'll touch upon. The automated alerts and the video snippets. This is one of the things that, lot more involved in terms of human involvement is been closely moved away from human involvement to the automated services. So if the AI-generated alerts are actually monitored by the AI-generated bots or AI-generated agents, you have less involvement in terms of what you are actually monitoring as a human intervention. Instead of human intervention, it actually goes into the automated AI, generative AI, which actually does the monitoring and then take up the next steps. So the last but not least is the cyber convergence. If you have all these disparate systems and so many of them connected to one single platform, you do have some kind of a cyber security that need to be enabled. That cyber security need to be protected because you have surveillance systems, access control systems, boom barriers, and many IoT devices that are connected, and there can be vulnerability at any point, at any place. So driving future with the AI video analytics has always been rule-based analytics. So if your SOC got a large format video walls and then lot of people are sitting there, you are actually doing a rule-based analytics of these all the network connected cameras, and those cameras are giving alerts, and those cameras are giving the incident information which will be processed again and thousands and thousands of incidents. But that has to move away because the object collection, facial recognition, all these actually generate too much information data. So going forward from there, we're actually moving towards generative AI. So if you see, incident management is basically a video analytics that has been processed last 4 or 5 years, right? So the single individual analytics that are rule-based has to be moved towards generative AI. Earlier, it used to be the rule which we define, like say the vehicle moving towards opposite direction or a vehicle stopped. All these are specifically you are defining a rule. But instead of that, if your generative AI is what actually doing the analysis, actually doing the situational awareness, behind the scene, you have everything is happening on a regular basis. All that you're asking is a query, a simple query that says, do I have all these cameras connected? Is there any red vehicle that is sitting in any other place? So it gives you that answer. That is what generative AI actually does. We do have that incorporated in the system where query-based analysis is what is done today, not event-based analysis as a postmortem. So driving the future is the industry trends. The SOC security operations centers and powering the AI fusion platforms. These are connected towards all critical infrastructures. Because if you see, the security industry is very dynamic. You have different kind of environments that you need to cater as a single platform. You have malls, you have schools, colleges, bus stops, railway stations, airports. Every individual building got a different flavor in terms of how you actually monitor, manage, and prevent the threat. So all these locations, you cannot just apply one kind of analytic, or you cannot apply one kind of a system. So everything has to be dynamic, and that dynamic environment has to be adopted by the agents in the generative AI. So the aspect of scalability, what we have implemented as of now in many of the environments were like most of the fixed environments, either it is on-prem or it is a hybrid system, which actually cloud and the hybrid becomes a very scalable. But in the future, it has to be auto-scaling solution, where if your cameras or IoT devices are getting connected to the SOC, they have to be auto-escalate or auto-enhance in terms of number of units that are connected. You cannot just fix saying that I have 25 cameras and my backend hardware can only go up to 25 cameras. You still need to have lot more flexibility in terms of how many cameras you are connecting, how many IoT devices are you are connecting. That scalability has to be very important. So if it is auto-scaling, you don't need to fix that server sizing or the servers that are there in the back end as a fixed environment, and then when the scaling up happens, you need to go back to the architecture and then do the scaling. Most of the time, see, the general environment of security, everything is done on an ad hoc basis. What we have seen as of now, you never do a design aspect of designing the surveillance beforehand and then going across all the your physical places to do the installations. A factory or a college or a building or an SEZ, everything is done on a regular ad hoc basis. You add up some cameras, after that you add up some more cameras, and keep on adding those. What will happen is you have a lot of disconnected systems that need to be again reconnected back. So that actually, the cost of that is actually goes up in a lot of wastage in the budget. That is prevented if you have a system that is actually redesigned and perfectly implemented to start with. So consulting and understanding the entire security to start with is what is important. Just to give a basic idea of generative AI, what we have taken up. See, the queries that come up with the natural language is what is very important for us right now. Lot of security agents who are monitoring the control centers or SOCs, they don't need to watch all these cameras, they don't need to monitor all these cameras, and then the metadata that comes out of these small events, thousands and thousands of events, is actually redundant nowadays because so much of data has been piled up and you cannot go back and look at it. It is impossible for you to do the post-mortem analysis. Even if you have the data that is sitting, the video data, all the data to scrub, it takes hours and hours together for manual intervention. So to transform that, natural language driven search, query-based search, is what is the next step in the surveillance. So if you see in the system, if you can query very naturally, right? Like say, for example, you have 500 cameras in your perimeter. All that you are doing is just giving a small query saying, Do I have any unknown event that is happening or a untoward incident that is happening? If the system can give you back on a regular natural language, English language, what is happening in the analysis of the entire 500 cameras, that awareness, if the system is having continuous monitoring, you are not monitoring, but the system automatically got the awareness. So it is analyzing the scenario on a continuous basis. Even one of the simple issues that happens, it actually brings up. So all these 500 cameras are live and real time, and you are getting a complete response back in a simple, easy, query-based analysis, and that is actually the outcome of the generative AI. So the second part is the auto-generated incident data dashboards. These dashboards are very dynamic in terms of their nature, and they do the summarization of all the activities that are happening across all your connected networks, be it cameras, be it your IoT devices, or any other security devices. What all this actually sent back, that is actually analyzed and put in the dashboards in a dynamic fashion through the generative AI. So whoever is monitoring, see, there is no possibility of eliminating human involvement, like Gary was saying, right? There is no human involvement elimination that is possible. Only you are complementing it, and you are increasing the opportunity of that person's productivity by bringing all these, natural queries and the dashboards together as a one single system. So, powering physical security and QRTs with the generative AI, this, as I mentioned, the cross-system intelligence fusion is what is actually the next wave in terms of how you actually implement these systems. No longer you can say my VMS is only managing video. You also have to look at what are the other interconnected systems that are existing. All those systems has to be brought into one single, you can call it VMS or you can call it above VMS. So all these management software, whichever is implemented, has to integrate with all these devices. So security professionals, they have a silo kind of kind of implementations. I'll do the gate management first, and then I'll finish the gate management. I'll go internally, I'll do the basement management, I'll do the building management. So you are actually separating all these things as silos. So once you have separated all these silos, after the implementation, you have so many systems that you have to operate separately. But if you bring all those into one single system, there are many systems which got subsystems also, right? So all this has to come and collide into one single monitoring aspect. Then you have all the PDSs, access controls, all these things coming into one single system. And the monitoring of this becomes very easy. Because on top of it is what generative AI is monitoring. You are not physically monitoring all the systems until and unless there is a request or there is a transfer for the decision making. That decision making is coming to the control room. So like I said, like if the natural answers are coming back from the system, whereas the example what we have given is, if there is a person after 10 p.m. in one of the location, if the generative AI system in the back end is aware and answering and it keeps the records, you are only querying the metadata, you are not querying the video itself. Because the metadata is lighter in its aspects to query, it's cost effective than doing the entire video monitoring and video scrubbing and video analysis again and again as a post-process. See, a lot of times when we do post-mortem analysis as a video analysis, you are going back to the entire 10 hours, 15 hours, 20 hours of the video. But if the metadata is already sitting at your availability, all that you are querying is a text that is also already available to you. That will be more cost effective in terms of post-mortem. So the generative AI with natural language processing, the query-based, it reduces the burden on the security analysis. Also, it accelerates incident reviewing and response time. The outcome of this is shifts surveillance from reactive to the real time and insight-driven operations. So going into the SOCs, we had so many implementations with too big of monitors, you have video walls, you have like 20, 30 people sitting in the command control centers. That at some point has to come down as a smaller and very efficient 24/7 situational awareness based system which is actually monitoring. It is the beyond that situational awareness monitoring of the system is what human intervention for the decision making has to come. If the decision making is right away by the humans, you need to have tons of people who are sitting there. Like I said, we are not replacing anybody. It is not replacement, but it is enhancing. So if the connected cameras are millions and lakhs, you are not doing analysis of all of them as manually. Even if they generate alerts, if 100,000 cameras in the city generates a single alert, it's 100,000 alerts you have to really understand and take a decision. But if that understanding and the awareness is done by the generative AI, all that you are doing is the rest of the process. If that comes down to 5,000, it's manageable. If it comes down to 2,000, it's further manageable. So that efficiency has to be built into the system, wherein generative AI is doing the situational awareness. It's not you. So this is what we have actually seen, envisioned, and what is going to happen in the future. Right now, there are, like I said, systems available, there are technologies available, and there are a lot of security professionals who want to implement all these technologies. But the idea behind all these things will come when you have all these systems connected. Obviously, there is a huge cyber security impact will be there. You have smallest of the small devices like sensors, water sensors, IoT-based strobe lights, sirens. Any of these connected IP devices can open up vulnerability that can actually bring back that threat to the central data center. You cannot ignore any of these. When I say, let us do the fusion, yes, our solution does the fusion. But are you secure, safe? The systems have to be understood secure and safe, and it doesn't take much time for anybody to get into the system and then do the negative scenarios. So while we are doing the implementation of all these as a fusion technologies, we also need to be very careful and aware about the threats that can happen into the system, and those need to be carefully taken up. So the cyber security risks that are there, that can open up many kind of threats for the system. So it's anyway, there is data and analytics tampering. If your metadata is actually tampered, you get wrong information back from your generative AI. Generative AI is aware, but what happens if your the core metadata is actually corrupt? That core metadata, if it is corrupt, you are actually going and phishing something which is not possible to be investigated. So insider threats and patch lags, all these are all basic surveillance impacts that can happen. So to mitigate these, we also have to work very seriously on the zero threat security models and unified cyber professional risk postures and security cloud gateway, secure your cloud gateways. This is one of the aspects that we have concentrated almost last 4 years. There are many gateways that sits into the field. Whether your gateways are very secure or not, that actually opens up the vulnerability back into your system. So like Gary mentioned about the cost, and a lot of times Bharani, when we had discussions, he also brings up some of the funny aspects. He said, what is the cost of the bite? So it's not the McDonald's chicken bite, but it is the data byte that each byte got a cost. So we cannot store too much of data. We cannot keep too much of this information back into the servers. Today, we still have limitations in terms of our budgets. Every customer got a budget limitation, and budget limitation never be irrelevant, because you cannot ask them for 100% money, where they will give you only 25% of the money what the budget is required. So this is one of the very funny parallel here. It says, one single ChatGPT query that we do today, we rampantly do on a daily basis, like hundreds of them. It actually costs money back to someone, not to us, but someone. So that 60-watt bulb for 10 minutes for one single query is a scary thing, because you have millions of queries that you are doing. So the back-end infrastructure, whether we do it for pure surveillance only for VMS and analytics and generative AI, or if you integrate all these disparate systems like IoTs and other integrated products, there is an infrastructure cost behind. That need to be understood, because in future, if you are going expansion into all these things into Fusion, you still have a lot of cost involved in it. So Gary has ended it with it's inevitable. I'm also saying the same. So it's menu, eat it or starve. Is there a choice? No. We have to do the security implementations. There is no choice. But there is limitations. That limitations we need to understand. So to conclude, the future of the security lies in embracing the latest technologies, adapting the evolving needs to the organizations and societies. Human AI collaboration to be hallmark of tomorrow's SOCs. SOC is not going away anywhere. SOC is going to get very stronger. It's going to get very technically high, and maybe it's not people driven, but it is more technology driven. Technology is going to take over the SOCs, and people's involvement will only come into the decision making. And that is the endeavor that Duranc is also doing, where our intentions are basically to create more technological aspects within the systems and reduce the human involvement and reduce the involvement of decision making, and take it as a last step as decision making, whether it is sending the QRTs, sending the drones, or sending the robots. All these interfaces that happens in the system are not human driven, but they are already driven by the generative AI. Thank you so much.